is Ada Maria Nardi, and I am a co-owner of La Farra with my two brothers, Innocente and Guido. Now I try to share some pictures and some data just to make a little bit easier my
You can
talking.
see, Paul and Nick, you can see clearly the slide. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Fine. That's fine.
Okay. So, first of all, La Farra is located in Farra di Soligo, in the hilly, historical hilly area of production of Conegliano Valdobbiadene. Here you can see the steep slopes of our landscape in Farra di Soligo, and we are in northeast Italy in Veneto region with it's clear that you know the characteristics of our prosecco world, but I think it is always nice to spend a few words about the universe of prosecco. So in this picture with the green color you can see the area of production of prosecco, an area that covers 9 provinces in Veneto and Friuli Venezia Giulia region. It was introduced in 2009 just to preserve the viticulture heritage of prosecco and to safeguard the prosecco around the world. Just the yellow area, so the small area of that you can see here is the area of production of Conegliano Valdobbiadene. It includes 15 communes, so municipality area between Valdobbiadene and Conegliano that are the capitals of this area. Conegliano, the culture capital, because of the presence of the enology school, the first enology school in Italy, and Valdobbiadene, that is the capital of the production. Inside this area, we are in Farra di Soligo, in the center, in the heart of the Conegliano Valdobbiadene area, which since 2019 is a World Heritage Site. We have around 27 hectares of vineyards, part in the hills where we produce Valdobbiadene, Prosecco Superiore, a part just at the feet of the area. We have vineyards in Farra di Soligo, in Follina, in Santa Maria San Pietro di Feletto, and in Refrontolo. This area, like you know, is an area that is that present a natural vocation for viticulture, for the characteristics of the microclimates, for the characteristics of the soil. For the culture in this area, we have really the most suitable area for the production of Valdobbiadene Prosecco. It is composed of hills that stretch between east towards west, and the morphology is different because towards Conegliano we have more gentle hills. Instead, in Farra di Soligo towards Valdobbiadene we have very steep slopes, so just the slopes facing south are cultivated as with a glera, and instead the top and the top and I can go a little bit like you see here, just the south slopes are cultivated, the top and the north part instead are cultivated at are woodland, wood forest. Anyway, here we have, like I told you, characteristics, particular characteristic for the temperature is always a little bit fresher in summer and a little bit warmer in respect of the flat in the winter. It rains more. We have often heavy shower in during the summer, even if it happens that some years we had a lot of rain, but the steep slopes permit the water to drain. So the climate we always have obtain good grapes just because of the characteristics of the place. The wine producing tradition of La Farra is long. Here we have some picture of our ancestors. The first is after the First World War, and the second one. The second and these instead are in the 60s. So here we were a child, and towards here instead we find the pictures with my father, my two brothers, and I, and below just the three siblings with the tasting room. So the wine producing is a long tradition for our family. Anyway, everything started for us in 1997 when we graduated at the university with different kind of studies. We decided to continue the family activity. My father and my grandfather has always cultivated glera, but they used to make wine just for the family or for a few friends. Instead, we decided to complete the process of production, so to transform the grapes into wines and to sell the wine directly. It's clear that at the beginning for us it was almost all new, so the role of the international fairs in Italy and Provine was very important for us. We increased gradually. Now, like I told before, we have around 27 hectares of our vineyards, 18 hectares in Conegliano Valdobbiadene area, between Farra di Soligo, Follinare, Frontolo, San Pietro di Feletto, Pieve di Soligo, and 9 hectares instead at the feet of the hills. We produce around 700,000. Last year, at least, we produced 700,000 bottles. And we have a few people that help us in the vineyards and in the cellar. It's clear that for the harvest, the employees are more because we have usually two groups of people, around 30, 40 people. We always pick up by hand, and we try to pick up the grapes in maximum 2 weeks. So this is the reason why we need a lot of people, but just seasonal workers. And La Farra take the name. It's a name from the place where we are in Farra di Soligo, and it shows also the strong bond with the land in which we live, where we live. Here I told about the tradition of our family in the viticulture, and here we have the Rive dei Nardi vineyards, where we produce Rive di Farra di Soligo. The altitude generally goes from 23 meters above sea level to maximum 420 meters. Here you can see that the slopes, the vineyard are very steep, so it's clear that here everything has to be done by hand. And this is what makes this land beautiful, and in the same time also hard, because it takes 3 more time of hours to work here than in the flat, but the beauty of the place makes absolutely the difference. Inside the Conegliano Valdobbiadene area, we have a diversity of soils, and that is important also for our production, because like I'll explain you later, we have a few wines produced just in Farra di Soligo. In Farra di Soligo is in the center toward west, and here we have a mostly conglomerate with a maximum 50 centimeters of cultivated land, sea terra, soil, and instead in Refrontolo e San Pietro di Feletto we have more, mostly in San Pietro di Feletto, more clay soil. So in San Pietro di Feletto we have a soil that gives the wine more structure, more body, and towards Pollina and Farra di Soligo mostly more floral and fruity aroma. So there is a typology that shows just the characteristics of the soil, of the place, the vineyards of Farra di Soligo, and other typologies that instead want to create a balance between different characteristics of the soil. But I'll be more precise later. Talking about when I talk about the wine. This is another picture of the landscape to show the steep slopes, the mosaic, the different shape of the vineyards and the hills. The hand, my father's hands, just to show and to remind that here everything has to be done by hand. This is our winery. It two buildings, it show the different moment of construction, because like I told before, everything grow very, very gradually. And so the first building is 2004, the second one 2012. And now we have other projects. Everything is there is a continued evolution. Here we have a view of inside the winery. It's clear that in a Conegliano Valdobbiadene winery you find still tanks, autoclaves, and anyway, our philosophy is based on the awareness that we can get an excellent wine just starting from excellent grapes. We think it is a value for us to directly cultivate the vineyards, to harvest by hand, not only in the hills, but also in the flat plain. We try to produce an artisan handcraft interpretation, an handcraft wine according to modern technologies, just to bring in the glass the authentic characteristics of the grapes. Our philosophy is also to respect as much as possible the land where we are, where we live, to respect the people around the community. This is why we are certificated Equalitas since this year. Is a voluntary Italian standard certification of sustainability for environment impact, ethical working condition, and economical aspect also. We are also SQNPI certificated, National Quality System for Integrated Production. This is also the reason why we have a photovoltaic system, just to try to do our best to respect the environment. And this is also the reason why we spend sometimes also in culture project, because we think we have not just to get something from the environment, but also to give something to the community. So this is the reason why we have a project and we present Dialoghi a Colbria. Is an appointment, annual appointment, with usually with 3 dates, in which we speak about the environment, the landscape, and we want to permit people to enter, to live our culture and to live our hills, not just with a touristic product, but like an identity, a way of living. So it is very important to us, let people know the culture and the beauty that brought us to start with our activity, to love this work. About our number in terms of sales, as we started in 1997, when the Italian market for Prosecco was quite full. And thanks to the international fair, we developed the first contact with foreign importers. So at the moment, we continue to mostly export. 62% respect of 38% of the domestic market. We are present in a lot of countries, mostly Europe, US, Australia, Malaysia, Japan, East Europe. Regarding UK, our importer is H2Van. Now it was bought by Alliance Wine, and we sell around 16,000 bottles per year. Our goal is always to be more present, but it's always important to recognize for us that our importer appreciate the quality, so they buy Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore, and that is very important for us. We are present. Our positioning is the HoReCa market. So we are present with generally with small importers that supply restaurants, hotels, or catering. The right positioning is very important for us, and then
Ada Maria,
yes.
sorry, before starting describing the wines, I'd like to ask Paul and Nick if you, Paul maybe already told me, if you ever visited the area, if you had experience of visit live in this area. Yes, so
yes,
you've been
yeah.
to Valdobbiadene. Okay, Nick,
Yeah.
you too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times to Valdobbiadene and
Couple of
Partite
times, fine.
Asera, yeah.
Yeah.
And I am, for me, it's very, very important, Ada Maria, and I imagine you agree with me, to ask Paul and Nick if, of course, you write articles, you have your own readers and audience. If for your audience you have the perception that the difference between Prosecco DOC and Prosecco Superiore DOCG is clear, I am curious to know your your answer regarding this, because it's very, very important.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see what your view is as well, Nick. My perception is that obviously Prosecco as an entire category is enormous in the UK, hugely popular, and not surprisingly so. I think beyond that, when you start to subdivide things, the line, I think, is still blurred between Prosecco, if you like, normale, basic Prosecco, and then Prosecco with the name towns like Treviso, and then what I call Conval because it's easier to pronounce, Canigliano. And in the HoReCa market, it's much better to have someone selling the concept of Canigliano wines to top wines, because they can be hand sold and you can explain what the differences are. And it would be the same with Asolo DOCG as well. I think they need hand selling, and so that market is perfect for that. I think in the supermarkets and in the more general retail space, I don't think there's enough knowledge to make that difference. So, don't know whether you think
for you,
that's
Nick,
true,
your
Yeah, I would broadly agree. I think that there's definitely a perception of quality increase over the last couple of decades as you go from mass market to more specialized wines. But I think the actual resolution on the differentiating things, it will be more in packaging and appearance as opposed to the DOC and the actual official delineations. I think people will gauge a much more sort of visual thing, a signal from that, and which I think is fair enough, because it's hard for consumers.
Well, one of the things, obviously, that Canigliano has done very well is moving to this Reeve single vineyard system. Again, I think that's still very early days. People are still being educated, if you like, and that's the role of sommeliers and specialists to do that. I think if you put a DOC prosecco next to a Reeve prosecco on the supermarket shelf, people will just see a difference in price. They won't necessarily understand the immense quality difference. So I think the better quality prosecco is always better being sold by professionals. So.
Yeah. So Ada Maria, I think you agree with me that when we say that an experience live in the land is the best for the best thing to do to understand exactly what it is, a Prosecco DOCG.
Yes. Indeed, this project was born just because we have realized that when we give our customers the opportunity to walk through the hills, to see the environment, they immediately realize the differences. And that is very, very important. And also, there are different characteristics of the wine, but it's important to understand what a wine means. Another question for me that could be interesting is to know the style of drinking in UK. So, for instance, in our region, we have a glass of a prosecco also during the lunch, during the dinner, and maybe distinguishing according to the different typology of Valdobbiadene Prosecco. In UK, my question is who and how the Prosecco is drunk. How do you use a glass of Prosecco? Sorry for my bad English, but
good English.
I hope you have understood the question.
Nick, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, well, I would, from my experience, it's aperitif. It's things like art gallery openings and things like that. It's extremely popular to have Prosecco, and I think the style is dry but not too dry. I think people don't like bone dry. They like a little bit of fruit sweetness in there. But yeah, it's that sort of my experience is aperitif with friends, or with your partner or whatever, and you have a nice glass of sparkling wine, and it's a good choice as Prosecco.
Yeah, For me, I think again we're talking about two different kind of quality levels. I think the prosecco for every day, if you like, is a simpler wine for impromptu times, but the big market, I think, is for people after work and on the weekends when they go to bars and pubs in the UK, and prosecco, because of that little bit of residual sugar, can be easily drunk on its own. And one of the things that Britain still has is a bit of a drinking culture where alcohol is drunk on its own, not with food, which is quite strange from a European perspective, I think, sometimes. I know in Italy that the idea of drinking wine without food is quite strange, and for that's where the DOCGs really start to shine, because, and again in Horeca, because you can sell those as the aperitivo before the main meal, but you can also drink them with a wide range of dishes and even some very light desserts. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities for sommeliers to do some nice food matching, and that's more in the kind of the dining space, I think. So I think we've got two things going on here.
Yeah.
There's the mass market. I bought it in the supermarket and I opened it 10 minutes later, or I had a glass in the pub with some friends, or I'm there in a nice dining situation with family or friends.
I think there's
the sommelier is recommending some food matching for me. So I think there's two things.
I think there's definitely an appetite for knowing which is the better quality in terms of being able to choose well, which is the ongoing dilemma.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's why we're doing this tasting in a way, is part of that signposting, helping people choose.
That is why it's very, very important for the producer to educate people about the difference of. Do you agree with me, Ada Maria? You, producer, are doing your best to educate people, I mean, consumer, regarding the very quality of your Valdobbiadene DOCG wines.
Yeah, it's very important to find the right occasion to let people know a little bit more about the wine. I was wondering what is in this moment the best way to arrive to the final consumers, because sometimes the role of the fairs is not enough, and there is a lot of things are changed. So sometimes we work with people, but I have the idea that the final consumers is not just a UK issue, but also in general, also for Italy. Just a few people know the differences and have the opportunity to know, to taste the differences. So I know it's hard work, and but mostly in the UK, for instance, we don't know if it is to continue. In the past, we attended London Fair. This year, we wanted to attend, but then we couldn't. And so to understand also which is the right way to arrive at the final
Reach people,
consumers.
yeah.
Yes.
To reach consumers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for a small company like ours, of course, because I can understand that a big company has a lot of opportunities, but
Of
for
course.
the small
Sure.
producer,
One thing I think is important is, and it's back to that idea of the better wines being hand sold or explained, is that if you can, as I was a wine educator for many years as well as a writer, and I think the kind of prosecco that we're talking about here, the Reeves and that kind of style, and Canigliano and Asolo, if you can find representatives in the UK, if you like, to be an ambassador for you, to go out with bottles and open them for groups of people, then they can taste the difference straight away. And that's, to me, the most powerful, because once people have tried the ordinary stuff and the Reeve, they'll soon see what the differences are, and it will open a discussion up as well as to, well, why are those differences there? And then you immediately start talking about the terroir and the steepness of the hills and the special place that is Canigliano. And there are others, but I mean, I did that for 30 odd years. I mean, there's the what they call the Association of Wine Educators, for example, who often will do tastings based on sponsored tastings. So if you supply the wines, they will go out and do tastings with their groups and clients. And I think that's a good way of building some understanding very directly. The other thing is, you mentioned London and the wine fair. It's difficult. I live in the north of England, and I'm a Londoner and love London, but there are many other cities in the UK, Manchester, Leeds, Newcastle, who are crying out for people to come and see them. And there are categories that do come, but I think that's, again, something that might be worth exploring with an importer, whether or not they would come up and see people in other cities. Because there is
for you, Nick, and for you,
there's I mean, I go to Manchester now more than I go to London, but where I am in the north, I can easily get to Glasgow and to Edinburgh as well. There's a big market there. So, but you know, to reach out to people in other parts of the country, I think sometimes is a useful thing. Whereas I'm going on a bit, but in London, you can taste different wines every day of the week. Up in the north, you actually find that the exhibitions are quite well attended because we don't have as many. We're just as enthusiastic. So I think there are things that you can do, but obviously all that costs money. So you know,
I would just say I think it's really important to be able to tell your story, and then to get that story told through things like writers, sure, but also social media is very important in making things like reels, being able to show stuff on social media. The traction now is very mass market, and like Paul was saying, it takes you way outside of London. You can cover the whole country with wine people telling your story on your behalf and sort of sharing the excitement. Because with sparkling wine and prosecco is a great example. It's one of those exciting areas of the wine world at the moment. People still want things to enjoy life about. So I think that YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the kind of places where I hate to be recommending them, but they are actually exceptionally good for sharing your brand and telling your story.
Yeah,
You just got to find the right way to do it, and whatever, get good at that. And I think people will become curious.
Thanks.
I don't know if you have enough time to listen to Ada Maria describe the wines or not. Do you have? Could you please, Ada Maria? Could you please shortly describe the wines, and then I can. Did you put the tech sheets in the box or not? If not, no problem. I can send via email the tech sheets of the wines.
I think we should send them by email. Anyway, in this moment, I'll spend just a few words to explain.
Just a few words of each wine.
Yes,
thank you.
Because we shipped three wines, three different typologies of a wine. The first one is Rive di Farra di Soligo. So we produce Rive di Farra di Soligo to show the characteristics of the grapes produced just in these vineyards. I'll show you again here in this Rive dei Nardi. And we produce Rive di Farra di Soligo in two versions. The first one is the extra brut, so unusual for us interpretation of Conegliano Valdobbiadene because of its longer refinement with the yeast after the second fermentation. In this case, we have a low residual sugar inside, just 5 grams of sugar per liter. The glera is glera 100%. The level of alcohol is a little bit higher, not a lot, but 11.5. But the particular that makes this wine a little bit different from the other interpretation is the maturation in autoclave on the lees for about 3 months after the second fermentation. So the bouquet is more complex, a little bit unusual, I repeat. It wants just to show the characteristics of the land, the soil, the microclimate of Farra di Soligo. And the second, I can show the picture here. Okay,
thank you.
Also with this shape of a bottle, we want to show to let people understand the more elegance of the wine. It's clear that in Farra di Soligo we find more minerality, more floral aroma, and so a particular, I repeat, interpretation of Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. With the second one, I just let you show that with the brown label we wanted to distinguish the Rive typology, Rive di Farra di Soligo in this case. With the second wine instead, we have always glera 100%, but a blend of the grapes grew up in 4 different micro areas. So not only Farra di Soligo, but also San Pietro di Feletto, Refrontolo, and and Follina, so soil with different characteristics, and we create a blend in the cellar, usually in November after tasting all the vats, just to put together the budget of the land of Conegliano Valdobbiadene, respect of the characteristics of the more acidity of Follina and the more floral and fruity aroma and minerality of Farra di Soligo. In this case, we have a brut version with 10 grams of residual sugar. So a brut that represents the more modern version of Conegliano Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore. We have learned that more a person know the product, more tend to prefer a wine with less sugar. Then we have the extra dry.
Yes.
The extra dry always Rive di Farra di Soligo, so the base is the same as the first wine we have seen here. In this case, we have the more modern, the more traditional version of Conegliano Valdobbiadene, the version that makes the wine famous all over the world. We have 17 grams of residual sugar, 11.5 of alcohol percentage, and the acidity is around 3.7, and also in this case we want to show the characteristics of the specific place where it is produced. It's clear that a higher level of sugar permits people to better smell the aroma, the fresh fruity aroma. It's of course excellent as an aperitif, like all the typologies of Valdobbiadene Prosecco Superiore, but is nice if in combination also with some risotto or fish or white meat. In Italy, the extra dry version is the more common, and we have a glass also with panettone, colomba. Ecco, we have just to avoid the cream, and for the rest is perfect. It presents 17 grams of sugar, but as a effect of the combination of alcohol, acidity in mouth, you taste not a sweet, but just a little bit sweetness, not too much. We have chosen to produce Rive di Farra di Soligo just to let people know the characteristics of the land where we live, where we are, the land that permitted us to love this world, this job, and to start to continue to start with the bottling, but continuing the family activity of wine growing. So the deep connection, the deep bond with our land is shown also throughout the Rive di Farra di Soligo typology.
It's fine.
I hope
Thank you.
You will appreciate the glass of La Farra wines.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Yes,
This is
indeed.
just in a few words because we spent
Yes.
a lot of time to explain the difference. And it's clear that for us, the culture project is an essential and an important element to close the circle of production because we start for the land and we arrive to the culture of the land. The wine just reflects the identity, our life, ourself. So if you have the opportunity, I can't think this year because the events are planned for June, but also the next year, if you have the opportunity to come to visit us, to let know a little bit more about the different corners, the different hills inside this area, I think it is always very, very interesting. So the invitation is always open. This is
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
always
Thank you.
welcome here.
yes, absolutely.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ada
Thank you.
Maria. Thank you so much. And of course, I will send you the recording file if you think it could be useful for you. And okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you so much for your message. And again, I thank you for your time and for your presence here today. Please let me know, text me or send me an email once you receive the samples, because I would like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I will send you also text sheets, and if you have doubts or additional questions, please ask me, and I will, and I'm here for you, of course. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to
Okay.
you. Have
Cinzia.
a
Thank you.
nice
Thank you,
day.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye.
again. Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Ecco, ero impegnata. Hello, sorry,
Aspetti che
I was sorry.